So I'm here today with Ellen Kittredge, who is a wonderful, amazing, talented nutritionist who I've worked with. I think this is probably the sixth year now that I've done your cleanse, Ellen. So it's a wonderful 3 week intensive cleanse, which I find so nourishing and so supportive and such a wonderful way to begin the year with. I look forward to it every year around this time. Um, and so the question that when I mention that I'm doing your cleanse to people, the question that most people ask me is, oh, doesn't that mean you're going to be depriving yourself and you're only going to be having juice or something for all of January? And I say, no, of course not. It's like actually about eating more foods for me and more healthy foods and more nutritionally supportive foods, so I get better performance out of my whole body. So that's my take on it. But I just wonder, Ellen, um, just as an introduction and to start talking about your work a little bit, that might be a good question to begin. How do you perceive it when people ask that question?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, Red. Thank you for voicing that. And I think it is a something that a lot of people do have that question. So basically, the food-based cleanse, which is the kinds of cleanse that I offer, are very different than something that might be like a just a strict juice fast or a cleanse where you're doing like a lot of supplements and shakes or something. So this is a very different kind of container. My desire is to teach people to eat real food and to understand like how that nourishes them. So we're working with real food. We're taking in nutrient rich food, so foods that actually more deeply nourish our body, our blood, our bones, our organs, our brain. All the vital functions in our body. So we're getting nutrients to those places, and then we're kind of taking out the ones that are nutrient poor, nutrient depleting. So a lot of the inflammatory foods or really sugary foods, alcohol, processed foods, those things actually deplete our body of nutrients. So what ends up happening is sometimes people end up eating more food, like you said, Red, happens for you, um, because their bodies are wanting to actually take in more of those nutrients. And then sometimes they end up eating more food initially, and then it actually goes down to eating less food because they're getting more nutrients from that really nutrient rich food. So I find it works differently for different people, but the cleanse is not about calorie counting, it's not about deprivation, it's about just simply eliminating inflammatory foods and then um, putting into our diet lots of diversity, lots of colors of different foods, trying new foods we've never tried before, and then seeing how we feel. And usually people start to feel better within about 3 or 4 days. So it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, I always notice I always feel quite ecstatic by about day five, I think. And you're right, actually. I start off eating more, and then over the course of the 3 weeks, I'm just eating really exactly what my body needs. And I can really hear my body clearly as well by that point and know just what the right thing is at the right time.
Hmm.
And that, for me, for the course that I'm running at the same time, for running Muse alongside it, where I'm getting people to tune into their body signals and their somatic intelligence, that becomes so much clearer, I find, when you take all that junk and gunk out of the way. And people have reported hearing and feeling sensations in their bodies that, they didn't even know that they were there before. And one of the things as well that I like to focus on in the class is about how our bodies are like these just miraculous walking miracles going on the whole time. There's so much wonder present in our bodies that we're not even really aware of. And so we kind of tune into that and feel into it more and become more aware of the sensations and the processes and the wonder. And one of the things that we touch upon as well is this idea of this constant renewal going on a cellular level the whole time. And I think I learned somewhere, maybe even I learned it from you, about how the gut renews itself every, I think, 3 to 7 days. It just completely renews. It's like one of the most highly regenerative organs in the body. And I just wonder how, I know you place a lot of emphasis on like the gut microbiome and how that impacts people's health and how it impacts people's mood and well-being. And for me, in the class, I feel that that dovetails perfectly because clearing the cleanse isn't like separate from our creative work. It kind of is the creative work, and clearing out our vessels is kind of the first step in calling the muse into our bodies. So I think even like a short cleanse, even just a 3 to 7 day cleanse can really have a huge impact on our creativity and on our um, inspiration and our sensations. So yeah, the question to you about all of this is then how would you explain the gut-brain connection? How does that show up amongst the cleansers in your experience? What have you noticed?
Mhm. Well, I think one of the things that I notice happens usually by about day 3 or 4 is people start to come out of a fog, like a mental fog or like a brain fog. So oftentimes, just in those few days, taking out the inflammatory foods, you start to notice that mental clarity. And oftentimes, like you were saying, Red, by day 5, you feel like a natural high just because you feel so good on eating real foods. Your body's not inflamed, so there's that real, incredible benefit. The microbiome will change within 24 hours, like by 15 to 20% based on what we're eating. So, and our microbiome is this, extraordinary complex of all these different types of bacteria and different, some pathogens and some viruses and fungus, but ideally, hopefully, mostly, good folks who are, helping us out, the good guys in there. And if we're eating foods that are nourishing for our gut microbiome, which are also the foods that are nourishing for us, then we can get incredible positive benefits in moods, in energy, cessation of anxiety, better sleep. I find sometimes people have chronic insomnia, they do a cleanse, and suddenly their insomnia goes away because they've been reactive to something that they've been eating, or it's been feeding a pathogen that's, contributing to keeping them in a state of anxiety or something. So there's all sorts of like remarkable benefits that can occur. Um, so that's one aspect of it. But I really love what you're saying about how doing the cleanse can kind of is part of the process of creativity. And I think what really inspires me in my work in as what I've always felt, so I've been doing nutritional counseling for 17 years and leading food-based cleanses for 16 years. And my hope is to help people feel better, feel well enough that they can then fully engage in whatever it is that is their destiny path in life. So that's what I feel like my work and my service is to say, hey, try this thing. This is something you can do that can clear away some of the detritus, clear away some of the inflammation, allow you to find yourself and, find that creativity, find that inspiration, find that love, find that joy, find that ability to live life to its fullest. So that's why I get inspired about this work, is because I feel like it helps people individually in that way. And then there's a beautiful collective benefit as well. I find with people in their families, as they start to feel better, then that has positive impacts on their families or their work relationships or other relationships too. So it's a beautiful outward flow of a lot of abundance and support and generosity that comes just from one individual making that decision to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take out these things that are toxic and inflammatory and see what happens and see if that makes me, be able to show up in the world in a better way. So
Beautiful. That's so beautifully said, Ellen. I love the way you describe that. It's absolutely perfect. And it really highlights kind of how the systemic effect of doing this thing yourself. It's like a thing that you're doing in your own body, but it impacts so many of the people around us as well. So, yeah, beautifully said. Thank you. I'm so excited. And, your work has been instrumental in all my creative process. So long may
uh,
it continue and more
that
may it
that
grow
is
and grow.
that is a thing to hear because you are so incredible. Your art is just
No.
so off the charts amazing. So that's a deep honor to know.
Uh,
I've been able to support that. Thank
uh,
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you very soon for our cleanse time together. Bye.
Absolutely, Red. Thank you.